Are we good? Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Kaz, and I'm going to be talking about physical drive-by downloads. We're going to try to make everyone that tweaks their Android phone become very paranoid, which I'm sure is very many of you. All right, I'm Kaz. My street name is Kyle Osborn. I'm a pen tester at AppSec. We do web app, network, some PCI stuff, all the regular pen test shop stuff. I also do some research on the side just for fun, and I make talks like this just because I like breaking things, so on and so forth, regular stuff. All right, so Android user ecosystem. God. Apparently, there is a rule where every time I say that word, I have to drink. Very funny. All right, so the Android user ecosystem, it's a big focus on rooting phones. Everyone is like, oh yeah, you got your Android phone. This is going to be detrimental. Everyone's like, great, you got your phone, you want to do cool stuff with it, you want to get the latest software version, root it, and then throw on a custom ROM, whatever. Tons and tons of ROMs. Like, you go on XDA developers, and there's just ROMs for everything. There's like 50 different 4.1 Jelly Bean ROMs. They all do pretty much everything the same. Everybody just thinks they can build their own ROM and do their own little tiny tweaks. Everyone passes around APKs. No one does any of the code signing or checking on the APKs. Everyone's like, oh hey, you need Google Wallet on your Verizon Android phone. I'm blaming you for ruining this talk. You need Wallet because Verizon doesn't allow it on Galaxy Nexus? Oh, well, just grab this wallet that I have downloaded and upload it to your phone and, give it all the permissions and all that. So it's just really bad practices in general. Like, nobody ever considers the fact that, oh yeah, the guy that's running CyanogenMod, maybe he's actually owning me. Like, I'm just downloading these ROMs from this guy. Maybe his actual ultimatum is like, oh hey, look, I got thousands and hundreds of thousands of people to download my stuff. Now I also have a lot of credit cards and shit. But just bad practices in general. I did a small poll on a few websites on like Reddit and Twitter and whatever. This was actually most of these were from the Android subreddit. I'll drink after. So I made a few questions. Basically, like, are you rooted? Do you have ADB enabled? Do you have a custom ROM? Do you have a recovery partition installed? So recovery partition would be Clockwork Mod or TWRP, Team Win recovery partition. So of the people that answered, there were about 500. 70 of them said they were rooted. 56 of them said they had ADB enabled at the time of answering the questions. 76 don't disable custom ROMs, so they all have Clockwork Mod or something like that. Most of them don't use encryption. A bunch of them, 40% of them use slide to unlock, like just no password on their phone whatsoever. You just slide across and you have access to the phone. And then of that, 22% use gesture, which obviously, a bunch of if you look at it from the side, you can see this light reflecting off and you can see the grease from their fingers and you can kind of just guess it most of the time. And then 41% of them use security software like antivirus or remote tracking and wiping because they thought that was sufficient enough to protect them. So in general, it just doesn't really look all that great. So Android security. So security of this OS that is a mobile device. So there have been a number of exploits, browser exploits, individual application exploits. There have been API exploits. There's been people speaking about talking about how they can install an app with no permissions and they can still exfiltrate data and grab data that they shouldn't be able to access. Some kernel level exploits like Mempo Dipper, which somebody ported over to Droid, Mempo Droid, Zerg Rush, and Ginger Break, all widely available. And then, of course, there are vendors that decide that they want to add vulnerabilities to phones, like Samsung, which decided that, oh, hey, we should include keys, which has a root vulnerability because it's awesome. So it's very convenient. All right, so our goals. Nothing I'm talking about is incredibly amazing. I didn't write like really any exploits. I don't do binary analysis or writing overflows or whatever the hell you do when you do exploits. I just decided that I wanted to throw a bunch of stuff together and make it really easy. We really want the good stuff. I don't want to just install an app on your phone. I want your passwords on your phone. I want your text messages. I want your photos. I want everything I can get on your phone that I like. I want to be able to maintain persistence. I want to figure out, what is the best way to maintain persistence on your phone, whether it be dropping a kernel level rootkit or just dropping an evil APK. Doesn't matter to me. I just want that. And I want to do this all very fast. I want to do this while you're at the bar, you leave your phone on the table because you have to go take a piss, and you walk away for, 2 minutes. I want to be able to take your phone, plug it, and own it in like a minute before you walk back. And nothing here that I'm talking about is going to be like there's no new exploits here. It's just a compilation of awesome things that I decided that were awesome. All right, and on top of all, we want to get past this. You all recognize this, I'm sure? No. Where have you been? It's 2012. All right, so physical access. Some of the slides are above the black line. Sorry about that. They look crap. So physical access, if you have a phone and you have it, we'll just look at a computer. If you have a computer, we all encrypt our computers. A lot of us have BIOS passwords or whatever. A lot of our media has external bootloaders or whatever. So on Android devices, you have the secure bootloader, which is basically, and it's not across all devices. So the secure bootloader, I'm going to use the Galaxy Nexus and the Nexus 7 as an example because I have both those devices. So when you get the phone, if you actually boot it up, you don't see a little unlock sign on the bottom. As soon as you unlock your bootloader, you get a little unlock sign. Basically what that indicates is that the bootloader won't let you write data to the partitions or boot from a over the wire or anything. You basically can't do anything to the device from the bootloader. It's like a BIOS password or whatever. Stock recovery partition. The stock recovery partition on the Galaxy Nexus and Nexus 7 and a few of the other devices, they facilitate, they basically have like a basic init RAM FS and a few other basic things on there. They facilitate encrypting your device and doing all that and updating your device and doing all that because you need to have something that you can boot it into to modify the file system of the main partition. And those are, I don't know if they're, I guess there could be an exploit there, but if they are stock, you can't interact with them, and it's not a big deal. And then encryption. So up until, I think it was like later in 3 dot something, but especially, or very specifically in 4.0 and 4.1, encryption was made available where you could encrypt your phone and prevent access if someone decided to steal it and say that you did have a recovery partition. If your phone was encrypted, you couldn't access the data on there. Or if somebody wanted to somehow desolder the SSD chips and do all that, it's all encrypted, doesn't matter. There's also KeyGuard. So KeyGuard is basically the interface you see when you type in a password or a key gesture. It's even the slide to unlock. That's all part of KeyGuard. And then, of course, ADB, because ADB is Android Debug Bridge, and basically that just gives you access to, you literally get a shell on the phone with ADB. And that's what we're going to be focusing on. Did I say that? Damn. So they all work together. If one of them fails, they all fail. If you don't have encryption on, or I'm sorry, if you have ADB on, I have everything else. If you don't have KeyGuard on, I have everything else. If you have a custom recovery, I can do everything else. If you don't have a secure bootloader, I can boot to whatever the hell I want. And I guess if I was smart, if you had no encryption on, I could desolder the chips off and access the data that way. I can't do that. All right, so real quick, secured bootloader. Not all devices have it. I have a locked bootloader. The ThinkPad, or not the ThinkPad, the HP TouchPad. You guys, did any of you get the HP TouchPad on their little fire sale? I got 2 of them. They rock. They are awesome. I would never use it as an you should throw that out the window right now. I would never use that as an actual device because it has an unlocked bootloader. You can run any init RAM FS or anything you want just by rebooting the device and typing like novacon boot your init RAM FS. It's not included in anything I'm going to be talking about, but I made like a tiny little tool just to drop like SU binaries and a little, I could do whatever I want just by typing novacom on my phone, on my laptop, and I owned your ThinkPad. So I don't want anything to do with that. If you can't lock the bootloader, it's no good to me. That being said, I love the ThinkPad. It's an awesome little device. The Galaxy Nexus and a lot of the other phones come with bootloaders locked. A lot of them let you unlock it. Motorola is notorious for not letting you unlock devices. When I look at a phone, I kind of look at that stuff too. Like I said, the Galaxy Nexus has a bootloader, but it's easily unlocked. It takes, you just plug it in, reboot the phone, unlock it. The nice thing, though, is that the Galaxy Nexus and the Nexus 7, and I can't specify any of the other devices. I don't know which of these do these. When you do it, it actually wipes the drive. It actually wipes the data partition, which is very convenient. And it does it in a way where it literally takes a second. So it's some sort of SSD controller command where the SSD will just lie to you and say, yeah, there's no data, it's only null bytes, even if it only takes a second. So even if you grab someone's phone and unlock it, you can't get to the data. So cold boot, depending on these, like I can cold boot your device and own it if your bootloader is unlocked. One thing to mention, reading online with all the modders and the tweakers and all that, the droid tweakers, not the tweakers. Everyone is like, yeah, just unlock your bootloader as soon as you get your phone because it will wipe the drive. And that makes sense, except none of them go, and then you should relock it because, you can do all that stuff with a relocked bootloader, but it's a pain in the ass because you got to unlock it later. And there's just a lot of people that don't really know that if you unlock your device, if you root it and then you relock it, which is more secure than keeping it unlocked, you can still do everything you want to. But the general idea that everybody spreads is keep your device unlocked, and it's just a bad idea. Stock recovery partition, system management, encrypting the device, applying updates, no big deal. Encryption to prevent access, secure drive when unbooted, but as soon as you boot, obviously your drive is mounted, and if I gain access some other way, I have access to all that data. It uses the PIN and password of KeyGuard, so if your password is 123, the password to unencrypt your drive is 123. So KeyGuard, real quick. KeyGuard basically has a few different options: swipe to unlock, face unlock in the more recent versions, pattern to unlock, PIN and password. PIN and password are only UI elements. There's no difference whatsoever when it's actually written to the device. They're stored in the same way. I don't know how face to unlock is stored, but it doesn't really matter because if I have a picture of you, I can unlock it. And of course, if you have the pattern unlock, pattern smudges and all that, and with the weak PIN, you can do like 4 characters or something. It's very small. So real quick about the KeyGuard pattern. There are 389,112 possible gestures. I think so. The math for this was very confusing to me because I didn't get past anything above geometry or something. I think I did it right. What we did is we generated every single possible pattern, so 999 million or something, and then we weeded out all the impossible patterns, which is you can't do 1, 1, 2, 3 because you can't hit 1 twice on the pattern, and you can't go 1, 2, 3 unless 2 has already been hit because between 1 and 3 you'll get 1, 2, 3. So we were able to get it cut down to that small amount. It stores the hash in data system, which is actually only readable by the system user and root. The nice thing about this, and we'll get it over, 390,000 possible differences isn't a lot. Like, it's pretty small. When you're brooting it by hand, it may be a lot because it'll lock you out after a while. But if you have that hash, it's all good. All right, so real quick, ADB, keep ADB off. ADB off does not provide USB debugging, so you need ADB to use USB debugging. You can't connect to the NTP client or server on the phone when the phone is locked, and you can't disable lock screen and access data if ADB is off. Okay, so I think I've been over some of this before. Physical vectors, bootloader is unlocked. You can run inside anything. Access device as root, because if you can just boot into a recovery partition, or if you can just boot to an image, you can then mount the file system as whatever you want. Non-stock recovery partitions, so Clockwork Mod or TWRP, they also allow unauthenticated root access, unless of course it's encrypted. Lack of encryption, it allows all those above. And then ADB enabled. If ADB is enabled, you win. ADB for any custom ROM is always enabled. ADB is enabled for, if you, real quick. All right, who has any Android device on them right now? All right, who has flashed a custom ROM, or just raise your hand. Just who? That's a lot. Okay, that's a good chunk of people. Who has, even if it's not those people, enabled ADB at some point in time just because you needed to do debugging or something? So a lot of you, plus the people that flashed a custom ROM, probably have ADB enabled right now. Who has ADB enabled right now? Yeah. Who wants to let me borrow their phone for a demonstration? What? Any Android phone with ADB enabled. Any. Ah! I'm going to get you faster. All right. So we're going to change this talk to the basics of Nmap. All right. Anyway, it's not all about the phone. We're not, your text messages are great, your pictures are great, there may be some fun stuff in your browser history, but we really want more. We want your passwords, we want your session tokens, we want all the things. And oh yeah, it also includes Google accounts. We want to take over your Google account. I want to be able to plug my phone into your device and 30 seconds later have your Google account. It's possible. All right. Oh, what the hell? Scenarios. So we're going to go over a quick little walkthrough. This is really hard to organize, so I apologize if it seems kind of scattered because there are just so many different random things and mixtures. All right, so unlocked bootloader. So assume you have a phone that has an unlocked bootloader or a tablet that has an unlocked bootloader, and you have it for an hour. If your bootloader is unlocked, I can pretty much just run whatever I want. I can boot over Flash. I can do all that. However, depending on the device, I generally don't want to unlock your bootloader because it could wipe your phone, and that's no good for me, and it makes it very obvious that someone fucked with your phone. That's no fun. All right. Customer. Ooh. Autocorrect fail, I think, or me fail. Custom recovery. So if I have your phone for an hour, and I could even do it for 5 minutes. It's pretty simple. You just boot to the custom recovery. Most of the custom recovery, at least the ones I've seen, all have ADB enabled, so it makes it even easier to interface with them. Or I could drop on a zip file that is an update zip that drops on a rootkit onto your main system partition. Then they all provide root because they need that access to update your phone. All right, now speed hacks. Prerequisites. This thing is awesome. This is a micro USB on-the-go cable. Even more awesome is this thing right here. So I did a small segment on Hack 5 that came out like 2 weeks ago, and Darren decided that the USB OTG cable here is annoying because you got to have this cable, and then you have to have another cable, and then you have to have them plugged in, and you have to make sure it all works. It's just a pain. Like, I don't want to lose stuff. So he went out and he decided to order these little things custom made from China. Uh, and it is effectively an OTG cable, micro OTG, so the attacker is on the red side, the victim is on the black side. You just plug it in, acts as an OTG cable, works beautifully. It's awesome. I'll also be throwing some of these out a little bit later, so watch your eyes. So I developed an application, more or less developed. It's just a bunch of shell scripts, interactive, called P2P ADB, phone-to-phone ADB. So the concept here was basically take all that cool stuff that I talked about earlier, all the attack vectors, combine them into one, and then not only that, make it as portable and easy and accessible as possible. So I just wanted to take a phone, be able to preload some application on it, grab one of these cables, have it plugged in, walk up to someone and wait till they, walk away or whatever, plug my phone in and do a bunch of cool stuff. So that's what we're going to be talking about now. So the sauce, phone-to-phone ADB, bunch of quick hit ADB scripts. I have a bunch of other stuff that I've added, but the real quick rundown is that I have a bunch of stuff that'll steal specific data directories, so it'll steal a bunch of your data. I can just steal all of your data directories. A bunch of them have like keys in there, so your Twitter key might be in there. You might have saved passwords. All your browser history is going to be in there. Just really easy to do that. And a lot of these vary very heavily on whether or not your phone is rooted. If your phone is rooted, I can access anything under /data/data, which is where your app's data is stored. If I'm not root, I'm going to default to SD card/Android/data because some of the apps store data under there. That was a small drink. Either way, I can grab your camera photos and all that. Steal Google Auth tokens. This is what we really want to do. I want your text messages, I want all that other stuff, like I said, but I really just want to own your Google account completely. If you're root, it's incredibly easy, because if you're root, you can just grab the database file and suddenly you own their account. If you're not root, there are a few options, and we'll go over that. If you're root, you can steal their WA config or WPA supplicant config file and all that sort of stuff and their keys, so you have all their passwords for all their Wi-Fi networks. And then even if you're not root, you can disable KeyGuard completely. Just click, now I have unlimited access to your device from the touch interface. And then you can install custom APKs also. So if you want to install something like Cerberus or however you pronounce it, which is a remote tracking and all that sort of stuff, which is meant for if you lose your phone, you can just hit a button in a web browser and track it. You can also access all sorts of fun stuff. And because I'm installing the APK myself, I don't care if it has hundreds of permissions that it shouldn't have. I'll just give it access to everything. That way, I later can access that data without prompting you. And then there's a few more, like I would like to, I haven't done this yet, but like auto-configure a proxy, because I think it'd be awesome if I just pop on an SSL or a CA cert, auto-configure a proxy or a VPN, and then just start man-in-the-middling all your traffic. Fun stuff. So P2P ADB right now, there's a detection of root. So if you plug it in, it'll be like, oh, hey, this guy's rooted. Oh, hey, this guy isn't root. Auto root, maybe these slides are a little bit old. For Android devices 4.0 and 4.1, there was a bug recently that came out that allows you to root any 4.0 and 4.1 Android device. Anyway, there's a bug with ADB where it was actually I'll get into it later, but it basically lets you root the phone, and it takes about a minute because you have to reboot the phone once or twice. If you're root, I can pull down your key and I can crack your gesture pattern. Because the gesture pattern is actually so low, there are only like 390,000 possible numbers or patterns. I just pre-calculated all of them, and then because it's not salted, I just generated a list of every single hash and key. And as of today, as of 2 hours ago, I actually pushed the code up, so now you can do that where you just hit one of the numbers and it pulls the key down, it searches it against the database there, and it spits back the key guard pattern. So if their pattern is like top left down, it will be 0, 1, 2, 5, and it just tells you that. And now you can get into their phone without even doing anything fancy. Also, you have to have a rooted phone to run this, I believe. I haven't actually been able to get it working on an unrooted phone. So if you're going to be doing this, you have to have a rooted phone, and you have to have BusyBox and all that. Also, make sure you disable ADB if you have a rooted phone. So AntiGuard is my little app I developed. Basically, it's based, well, the name KeyGuard, AntiGuard, a cute little name. So it disables KeyGuard when you run it. It pops up this little screen here too. It's really convenient too because, all right, so say you have a rooted phone, but through ADB, if you type root or su or whatever, it prompts you with the super user or super su applications to grant access to give you root. If you don't get access that way, you're kind of boned. However, if you use AntiGuard, you can disable KeyGuard, and then you can see the pop-up to grant you root, and then you can grant yourself root. So that's one of the reasons I did that. Plus, there are some things through the interface that you really kind of maybe want to access. There's some things through the Android API which are really convenient. Maybe you want to access developer settings or some reason. This is actually an app that I'll be building out to include auto loading of a CA cert, auto configuring of a proxy. This is the way I would probably want to go about doing it. So a few buttons. Back will bring you back to the last app that was open. Launcher will bring you to the launcher. Development settings will bring you to the development settings, and then you can uninstall it. If you hit the home button, just a little kind of annoying thing about the KeyGuard, if you hit the home button while an app has disabled it, it'll bring you back to KeyGuard. So that's why I have launcher up there. There's also the same button that installs KeyGuard also uninstalls KeyGuard on my phone. So as soon as I uninstall keyboard, it leaves no traces, and the screen relocks. All right, a little bit more of the scenario. So ADB with root enabled. Just grab all the things. Like I have your whole. I mean, I could image the device if I wanted to. Like it's not a big deal. The only problem is that Android, in the past, at least the phones that I've played with, all of their storage components or whatever are just slow. Like compared to an actual faster device, maybe like the iPhone. The iPhone storage device is incredibly fast. Android storage devices are incredibly slow. So, God, I hate you all. You're making this very hard. And then on one of these, and then you're also limited by a USB 2.0 device, right? I mean, you're limited to the transfer speed. So imaging a 16 gig drive on a phone really isn't practical, especially if you're trying to do it real fast. Especially when some of the data that you want, you really just want like a 64 kilobyte SQLite database. It doesn't make sense. So I basically just want to grab application data, browser passwords, emails, text messages, whatever, system data, including Wi-Fi passwords, system password hash to crack. With the gesture passwords or the gesture interface, it's stored as a SHA-256 sum, I think, or a SHA something sum. So it's literally, it starts from 0. So if it's 0, 1, 2, 5, it takes those in bytes. So hex, null byte, hex 01, hex 02, hex 05, and SHA-150, whatever, sums it. And then that's why I can build up the lookup table. The PIN number, or the PIN and the password both are hashed, or both are salted along and hashed. So it's it's a little bit more infeasible to crack it, especially if you're trying to do it right there and then. It doesn't really make sense to do. But you can pull it down for offline cracking and all that. Of course, drop on a rootkit, throw backdoor binaries, whatever init scripts, maybe you throw on an APK that tracks your location, do all that sort of stuff. You can maybe throw on, there are a few attack frameworks and backdoor frameworks available for security researchers to use. And then, oh yeah, sync to Google accounts. AB, not root. Encryption doesn't matter, can't access most of the data. Grab your photos, grab your data on SD card, install APKs, install your CA certs, and export through the Android API, like through Java and all that. If you install an APK that has SMS and contact data or permissions, you can export that through the API, which requires you to actually hit, export through API on their phone, or install an APK to do that, but you're pretty limited as in terms of what you can access on the file system, so you can use the API as a way to access that data. Oh yeah, synced Google account. So real quick, /data/system/accounts.db is basically where your Google authentication token is stored. On Jelly Bean, some of you may know Jelly Bean is has some really bad support for multi-user mode. Basically, they changed /data/system to /data system user number 0 and then accounts. It's just because they're getting ready to roll out some sort of multi-user mode on Jelly Bean, so you have to, or something, so you have to take account of that. Anyway, so under there you have, it's just a SQLite database. It's real simple. You have accounts, which has a few columns. The ID, the username, the type of account it is, so com.google, and then you actually have the... These demos are gonna be hard. How did I get 2 Nexus 7s? What? Okay. All right. Well, since I should finish this off, Android. I had a beer right before this talk to relax a little bit. I'm regretting that. All right, so you have your Google key in that SQLite database. That is your Google account. Like, that key may look abstract or whatever, but that is your password. Not only that, that is more powerful than your password because it bypasses two-factor authentication. It can bypass any page that requests your password. I can just generate URLs that have single sign-on tokens from this. As soon as you enable two-factor, it disables all tokens. If you disable two-factor, all tokens are just disabled. If you change your password, all tokens. So I mean, it's more volatile than your password, but it's more powerful than your password. You had a question?
Yeah. Can you only use the key from Android devices?
So.
I didn't mean it like that.
So. All right, so anyway, Android devices. Yes. So the way that the framework works through these devices is that most of everything is HTTP requests. Syncing your device is an HTTP request or HTTPS request. Signing in through your device an HTTP request. I think even checking like Gmail isn't even done over standard like IMAP or SMTP or whatever POP. It's all over HTTPS. So since it's just HTTPS, I could just create my own request and do all that. And I'm actually gonna demo that. All right. Oh, actually, this is the slide that works. Anyway, so that's my key right there. This is the post request to android.clients.google.com. It was a URL. It wasn't even name. Doesn't count. Okay, so you have your account type, email. None of that matters. Like, if you'll notice, every single parameter does, besides token and service, does not have a value because it doesn't care. That token that you have right there, you don't even need to know the account that goes along with it. You just submit it along with this request, and it generates a URL like this, and that is actually a single sign-on token for, what is it, google.com/dashboard. So you hit that URL, and it'll actually bring you to the Google dashboard without prompting you for a username and password. Yeah, it's awesome. But that's the way that these sort of tokens are designed, right? So if you open your browser on your Android device, and you, AD, don't leave. No. Okay, thank you. So if you go to google.com or gmail.com on your phone through either Chrome or the default browser, there's actually a little yellow pop-down bar that goes, hey, we noticed you're at google.com and you're not logged in. Would you like to sign in with blah account? So what that does, it actually takes the accounts that are logged in on your phone, and it'll prompt you with those accounts to see if you want to log in. So if you go to gmail.com and you're not logged in and you have 5 different accounts on your phone, it'll have a little drop down to select which account you automatically want to sign in with. And this is the request it's actually making to sign in with that account. And then, like I said, that token signs you in without question. And it brings you there. All right, so getting the Google account without root. There are a few options. Mostly, you just have to man in the middle of the HTTPS request. So if I wanted to do this on, like, from my phone to another phone, and I had, like, a few minutes to play around, ideally I would go, all right, install AntiGuard, and have AntiGuard drop in a CA certificate, have AntiGuard automatically configure a VPN or a proxy that I'm connect to, and a Wi-Fi hotspot. I don't know if you can add Wi-Fi hotspot or Wi-Fi connections through the API, but anyway, connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot from my phone. On my phone, have some sort of man-in-the-middle device with that CA certificate and the private key, and then open up a web browser to google.com and hit auto sign in for that account. When you do that, it sends that key. That's the key that it sends. Like, that key doesn't change ever unless your password changes or you reassign a new key, or if you're using two-factor auth, if you reassign another two-factor auth key or whatever. So I can get that key just by man-in-the-middle-ing your HTTPS request and all that. Of course, it requires a CA cert and all that fun stuff. All right, what else? Let's see, I have a little bit of time. Android restore functionality. So if I own your Google account and I throw your phone or your Google account on my phone, it automatically syncs down Wi-Fi passwords and a few other things. Maybe I want to be able to sync down your Google history and all that. I think, or your Chrome history. I think you can access it that way. Let's see what else. Oh no! Oh shit! It's black. Can anybody read that? Anybody want to read that? Oh, that's probably an important slide. So let me change the color real quick. Oh. Let's see what else. Slideshow. Okay, so quick demonstration. Let's see if we can get this to work real quick. Internet's. Oh, nope. Ah. There you go. Cool. All right, I'm not going to do this from my phone just because, well, that would take extra setup and we only have a few minutes left. So we're going to do this from a next. Wait, I'm the last talk of the night, aren't I? Oh, shit, we can take all night. We got all night long. I hope you guys have nothing planned. All right. Oh, hello, everyone. All right, there's my Nexus 7 right there. By the way, I love the Nexus 7. If you get one, you should play with it because it's awesome. Or you should get one. Anyway, so you have the Nexus 7. I'm going to go ahead and not maximize that. I'm going to bring up a terminal over here. Cool. All right, so. All right, so this is ADB, P2P ADB right here. That's going to be, so okay, so right now it's waiting for a device to connect, which isn't right, because it should be, there we go, cool. All right, so this is pre-rooted right now, actually, because I did this earlier. This is actually a most recent stock install. It doesn't have BusyBox, it doesn't have anything. I actually used P2P ADB while testing to root it, so it works. Anyway, so we want to check, all right, are we root? It's not natively running as root, so basically that means when you ADB shell into it, it doesn't drop you into root immediately. So we're going to go ahead and use the SU binary because that's available. So if I want to go ahead and steal the app data, go ahead. All right, so it automatically calculates the size of everything under data/data, shared preferences, and databases, because there's other stuff under data/data like cache and libraries and a few other things that we don't really need. We just want the shared preferences and the databases. So if we go and hit that, like yes, cool, takes a second, it tarballs it or something and it throws it over. All right, so it's already saved it under loot. All right, so if we want to steal your Google data, that just is like, yo dog, I heard you like Google data, so there are 12 and some megs of Google data, don't want to grab that. Camera photos, so funny thing under the Nexus, it's going to be like, oh wait, grab them photos, camera directory doesn't exist. Nexus 7 doesn't have a backwards facing camera, so it doesn't ever make a folder for that. So the fun one, steal Google accounts. Actually, we're going to skip that because I'm going to do a demo with that. So if we do install, uninstall, anti-guard, this is my favorite one. All right, let's see if we can shrink this screen right here. So install anti-guard. All right, so live, yes, enter. Installing anti-guard and unlocking screen. Oh yeah. All right. Oh, screen unlocked. There we go. You can't see it, unfortunately, in this video. So right here is the top one is back. That'll bring me to the last application I was running. This is launcher. Launcher basically brings me to my default launcher, development settings, and uninstall anti-guard just to get rid of the applications. So the reason I have launcher is because if you hit the home button, it brings you back to the lock screen for some reason. But if I hit launcher, it goes ahead and just pops me up to the launcher. And then from there, I can access whatever I want to and all that. So if I hit home, it brings me back there. But we'll go ahead and unlock it. There's my unlock password. I hope you're all happy. So we'll bring it back, anti-guard. All right, so now, since we're here, I'll go ahead and show you, if I go ahead and hit 6 again, it's automatically going to uninstall anti-guard. And once it uninstalls anti-guard, it relocks the screen. Oh, well, I hit the unlock. Wow, way to screw that demo up, cause. All right, 6 again. So 6 to unlock. 6 to relock, because once the application is uninstalled, it loses its grasp on the API or however that works. All right, so if we want to root it real quick, for the time being, if you want to stick down there or stick around after I'll go over that real quick, because it just uses a race condition. It takes about a minute. It reboots the phone, or it writes to a system protected file via a race condition and all that. It's all available online. So guess, this is my favorite actually because I just coded this today. So get the pattern unlock. So we go and get pattern unlock. Oh shit. Sorry, the cable for the Nexus 7 is ridiculously long. Like sorry, not the cable. The header is longer than most because of the whole little bezel thing. So it doesn't work sometimes if you jiggle it wrong. There we go. So 8. There. So the gesture is 0, 1, 2, 5. And of course, if I go ahead and do 0, 1, 2, 5, it unlocks the phone or the device. It's just a hash of the bytes or whatever that you're doing with. All right, so we have, how much time do we have? All right, we have like a minute left. All right, let's see if we can do this real quick, because I forgot to enable my Wi-Fi hotspot and connect to the internet. Ooh. Anybody want to enable a Wi-Fi hotspot for me? I'm just joking. Just kidding. All right, so as soon as that enables and we connect, I'll go ahead and connect to that. But for the time being, okay, so we got this. We go ahead and hit see steal accounts, enter calculating size of accounts and accounts there. So it is the size of accounts. Oh, device not found. See what I tell you? It's this Nexus 7 crap. Steal accounts, device 64K. Yes, I want to jack everything. They've been added to there. Okay, so am I connected to the net? All right, so there. Yeah. SH, and I have a separate app for, or a separate shell script for this. So SH, generate auth. Oh. All right. Oh, no. Apparently I'm not connected to the internet, so I apologize. Oh, wow. 4G is failing me right now. Basically, if you do generate... I'm a computer. Who texted me? 80. It was dual core. What a dick. Anyway, so this is a really basic command. If you do this and you go through all the process, it basically just brings you it sends the same request to the account Android account client, whatever, google.com, does all that, and it responds with that screen. I'm really disappointed that CDMA is failing me right now. There we go. All right, so generate tar filing. So there's my tar file for the app. So I go and copy that, and I'm gonna open up a web browser right here. All right. So open up an incognito tab. So incognito, copy that URL over, go ahead and hit enter, and cannot connect. I had a proxy enabled. It's okay. Yeah. There we go. Should automatically, and there we go, google.com/dashboard. There you go. So it gets better. Just because I have that token, maybe I want to steal your account, right? So if I go to change password, it's going to show me this option right here. Oh, slow internet. God damn it, Verizon. Failing me. Android. There we go. All right, so of course it's going to ask me for my current password. But I don't know my current password because I just stole that token, right? Damn, that sucks. Man, what am I going to do? So we go on, am I incognito again still? Oh, there we go. So we go back. We're here. Well, shit. Where is it at? Recovery. Well, let's change the recovery information if I can figure out how to do that on this page. Anybody notice the name? Cool Guy Cause? Yeah. Anyway. That is my real name. Anyway, so account recovery options. This is a fun URL. Great. So mobile phone, I don't have a phone enabled. Email address, I can recover it via that email address, but I don't have access there. Oh, security questions. Man. Don't clap now, because the last time I did this on Hack 5, it failed miserably. Google.com. Oh, don't need that one. Let's open up an incognito tag. All right, Google. All right, so sign in. What was my email account again? Cool Guy Cause. Who am I? Oh, wrong password. Oh, can't access your account? Don't know my password. Answer my security question. Oh! Yeah. Anyway, so it's fun stuff. What? Shit. DerbyCon. Damn. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah. So that's a lot of fun. I'm gonna finish up my slides real quick because I'm over time already. Okay, demonstration. Lots of things went well. Other attack vectors. My friend Lay did a talk at a few different conventions. He at ThoughtCon, DEFCON, TourCon about juice jacking, which is basically all right, hey, you need to charge your phone. Well, we have a little podium that has a few plugs in it. Go ahead and charge your phone. We'll provide power or whatever. So this little blue box right here actually had a little laptop or something in there with a monitor up there. So whenever you plugged your phone in, it gave a notification like, oh shit, you just plugged your phone in. Here's your little ID or whatever, your hardware ID. So that could easily be, you could throw P2P ADB inside of that. Other attack vectors. Hell, Android devices are getting small these days, and they are requiring little power. So why don't I just throw something that's that small into, add a little battery in there and be like, hey, buddy, your phone is dying. You want to charge your phone? Another one is, who likes video games? Who hates playing video games, especially emulators with touchscreens? Well, Android provides the support to... God, I was on my way to grab it. I'm just going to hold on to it. Android provides USB OTG support, like what we're taking advantage of. But it also has support for game controllers in some instances. So why don't I just build like a PS3 controller and Xbox controller with my payloaded Android device inside of that and be like, oh, hey, plug this in so you can play Super Mario and you don't have to use touchscreen. Did I say that? Yes. Man, you guys are relentless. All right, so future goals. I want to expand anti-guard a little bit. I don't know Java at all, so anything I write there is kind of like painful. As from what I know Java is. Auto install CA certs, configure proxies and VPNs and all that. And then of course like drop rootkits, because I don't have any of that enabled. I don't want to design the wheel or whatever. I want to take someone's already designed rootkit, payload, whatever, Android stuff, and automatically drop that stuff on there. And of course it's really easy just to make like some binary stuff that calls back or whatever, no big deal. So when I posted my stuff online, some guy that goes by Cornholio on Twitter, that's a zero. I suggest you all follow him because he's cool. Cornholio threw together a native Android app that basically takes some of the features of what I'm doing. Damn it. And just rolls off the tongue. Basically, a little app that has a bunch of these features. He hasn't updated it, so it doesn't have everything, but it grabs data, it grabs some other stuff. It doesn't install anti-guard, but it has a few things over there. It is open source, and it's really easy if you just want a point-and-click sort of interface. So mitigation. Stop tweaking your shit. Just deal with it. If you don't like it, whatever. But just kidding, that'll never happen. Oh. Get out. Anyway, so really, disable ADB when done. You don't need it on all the time. I use it often, and trust me, I forget to disable it. The next slide, I'll show you a quick little tool that'll help you. Lock your bootloader. Like, if you don't need your bootloader unlocked, don't do it. Some phones, I think it's like the Galaxy S, you couldn't relock the bootloader. I don't know any of the other phones. I only have a Nexus 7 and a Galaxy Nexus, but if it's possible, relock it. Get rid of Clockwork Mod. You don't need Clockwork Mod. Use it once, drop it, flash your recovery or your regular stock partition, and then, when you need it again, since you have root on your phone, flash it again. Enable encryption. I mean, it makes the device slow as hell in some cases, and it takes like 20 minutes to boot up, but enable encryption. Like, I do it on my PC. There's no reason that I shouldn't do it on my phone, which, as I demonstrated, has my Google account. Just enable it if you have the option. Unfortunately, for older phones, it may not be an option. And glue your phone to your hand. That way you never forget it on the table when you go take a pee, or you always have it with you. Worked for her, right? All right, and then some mitigation stuff. So the guy who wrote maintains the BusyBox package for Android got... Fuck you. He got whiff was what I was doing. He got tagged in a post on Google Plus that we were talking about, and he's like, "Oh shit, oh man, that sucks. I never even realized. Oh man, you've made me all paranoid." So literally 24 hours later, he responded and he's all like, "Hey man, I wrote an app for this." So ADBD secure. Basically, when you turn your screen off, it locks the phone, or it locks ADB. It disables ADB. When you unlock your phone, it re-enables ADB. So this means that if I have your phone and you have ADB enabled, but you have ADBD secure or set up and running, if I don't know your password, I can't get into ADBD. So it's set, and it requires root and all that, but it works. It's genius, and it's open source, so it's cool. All right, quick little notes. Go break shit with that. That'd be really cool. P2P ADB has been thrown up on GitHub. Unfortunately, it's really hard to see, but if you go to cause.io, it shows there's a link to my GitHub, which is /k/osborn/p2p-adb. All the code's on there. It's literally just a bunch of shell scripts. There are a few binaries up there, and I do that for compatibility with stock phones, because stock phones don't have BusyBox, and some of the tools I need use BusyBox. And there are a few other things up there. It's a lot of fun. Go break stuff, and I have cables that I'm going to start throwing at people right now. So. Share them. Please share them. And if you didn't get one, gone that way. Okay, I'm going to stop throwing them. Just come walk up to me and grab some.